Thanks again for joining us at the 2021 Sloan Sports Analytics Conference, Competitive Advantage Talks, presented by KAGR, also known as Kraft Analytics Group. My name is Jack Blasberg, and I'm a first-year MBA student at MIT Sloan, and it's my pleasure to introduce our presentation, The Path Forward, Analytics as an Organizational Imperative, brought to you by KAGR. Please join me in welcoming our speaker, Sam Ebb, VP Business Strategy and Analytics at Comcast Spectacor, to the stage.
Thanks, Jack. Excited to be here. Glad to be back at the conference. As Jack mentioned, going to be talking today about analytics as an organizational imperative, talking from the perspective of Comcast Spectacor, and that's the Flyers, the Wells Fargo Center, the Philadelphia Wings, Maine Mariners, we're an ECHL team up in Portland, Maine, and our practice zone out in Voorhees, New Jersey. And of course, that means Gritty as well. So from myself and Gritty, we said hello. And let's jump into what we're going to be talking about today. Wanted to break this into four main parts, starting with talking a little bit more about our challenges, why we have made some of the changes we made. I joined the organization about a year and a half ago, following alongside our new leadership in Valerie Camillo and Mike Shane. And part of their goals when they came in was to take us to the forefront of what we're doing in terms of bringing data to the center of our decision-making, making us an analytics forward organization. Two, defining objectives, thinking about how we wanted to structure what we were doing as an organization. Three, designing for impact, thinking about how we're setting up our team, our organization, our technology stack to make sure we are able to do part four, drive the results. So not just have analytics for the sake of analytics, numbers for the sake of numbers, but we really want to drive value across the organization. So with that, starting with defining objectives, we want to be able to build towards a common goal, and to build there and to get there, we need to state what that common goal is. And for us, that was to bring data to the heart of every decision we make as an organization. And that's not just have a sheet that prints out and has all the numbers you could want on it. That's making sure we're asking the right questions of the data. We're asking the right questions of our strategy and saying, what are the things we should know? What are the insights we can bring to the table that will help shape our direction as an organization going forward, both internally from our processes and externally as we think about our fans, our building attendees, the concerts and shows and events we bring to the arena. So what does that mean across the different departments? So for us, business strategy and analytics, we're a consultative group. We work across every part of the Comcast Spectacor organization. For us, that means on the ticketing side, thinking about how we optimize sales rep efficiency and effectiveness. And that's through providing lead scoring, retention modeling, good data in our CRM, clean process flows for them. From the marketing side, how do we dynamically segment and target fans, making sure we get the right offer to the right fan at the right time through the right medium? On the finance side, how are we accurately forecasting and projecting revenues? And how are we then looking to optimize those revenues? How are we looking to say, how are we selling our seats? What do we need to spend from the marketing perspective to hit our targets? From the operations side, how are we making sure we are doing everything we can to maximize revenue potential across all areas of the arena, from food and beverage and retail to everything else in terms of what comes through our building? From the corporate partnership side and our sponsors, making sure we show the value of our audience to current and potential partners and using data to drive the story and say, here's our 2.7 million people that come through our building on an annual basis. And here are all the different things they can get you as a partner of Comcast Spectacor. And then lastly, the fan experience end. How are we developing a loyalty program that has benefits that are meaningful, that are valuable to our season ticket holders? How are we making sure our single game buyers feel taken care of so they come back again and again and eventually become some of those season ticket holders going forward? Now, to get to all of these elements and to support all of these different departments across the organization, we have to structure our organization for success. And that's a combination of people, process, and technology. From the people side, we have people on my team who have expertise in data engineering, in business analysis, in strategy. And we want to work with that team to create our business processes, to automate those processes, to make sure data is embedded in every step of the process that people are taking across the organization, and to really enable those people to be as effective as they can be, those processes to be as efficient as they can be. It all rides on the backbone of the technology. And how are we making sure we are finding partners, finding solutions that optimize what we're able to do from the people and process side. And of course, how do we do that? Not just across the Flyers, but also the Wells Fargo Center, the Wings, the Mariners, Skate Zone. So all the parts of our business that come together. And then we can't talk about our objectives without touching the elephant in the room and why I'm speaking to you virtually today instead of in person. And that's the COVID impact. And really what we've seen is COVID is just accelerating the rate at which new data sources are coming into sports teams, whether it's an increase in contactless or cashless transactions, or new mechanisms of reaching our fans through new content streams. There's just a proliferation of data and data collection opportunities that we have to continue to push back to our fans what they want to see and what they want to experience. So COVID, well, we all wish we could have been back in stadiums, and we all wish we could be at this conference together. I think will only serve to accelerate the role that data plays in decision-making and in the day-to-day life of both the business side of teams as well as the experience for the fans. Now, how do we design that, our team and our organization for impact? And I started talking about this a little bit a minute ago, but where I want to really put the spotlight today is on the technology side. Because as I mentioned, that's what allows our people to focus on taking their time to think about what are the big strategic questions we want to answer. What are the elements of the loyalty program? How can we get creative? How do we not spend our time just thinking about how we're automating a process flow? How can we find the right partners to make our organization as efficient and effective as we possibly can? And that technology stack is centered on kind of a foundational data platform and data warehouse. So for us, that sits at the center of all of the different parts of our technology stack, whether that's the sales side and our ticketing website and our ticketing vendor, the back-ended ticketing management system, our CRM system, how all of those talk to each other, how all of those then talk to our email management system. And those systems don't necessarily all inherently talk to each other. And KAGR and their platform provides the mechanism to enable all of those different connections. They're taking in the marketing source data, whether it's web and marketing lists and inbound interest, acquired lists, and centralizing all of that. They're working with us to inform the customer experience, the fan experience, as they're coming into our venue on a regular basis. Whether that's from the ticket sales side, whether that's from F&B and making sure we've got our mobile ordering set up, making sure we're bringing in fan data and fan surveys so we continue to improve the process, informing what we're doing from an arena management standpoint. And if we've got accurate game day reporting on what sections people are going into, when people are coming into the building, we can optimize not just the revenue and fan-facing side, but our operations on the arena management end. And then it's not just about taking that data all into a centralized location and housing it in a structured way. It's about then building on top of that with AI and ML modeling and making sure we have customer lifetime value models and retention models and lead scoring to make sure we are optimizing the sales side of our business. And then it's not just about having the model, but it's about making the model and the results of that model visible and meaningful to others across the organization through the BI and reporting. Now, talked a lot about where that technology sits, but the other big part is what do you need in a partner to make sure they're able to do everything that we need as an organization. So for us, we took a extended process to look through a number of different vendors, a number of different partners to say, what are the things we really need to do? And what do we need technology to support within our organization? The first part of that is having a unified view of the fan. And this is your quote unquote golden record. How am I making sure that if I go to a game, if Jack goes to a game, we know that we're sitting in this section. We have a subscription to the email list. We've opened emails. We've engaged with our content on social. We like to buy this beer from this vendor so we can target offers and we can make sure your experience is smooth. We can make sure we know if you have parking, if you have a loaded value on your ticket. We can know if you're using your discounts at our concessions and merchandise stands. We can really understand everything that we need to know to deliver on our experiential promise to our fans. And in doing so, make sure they keep coming back to us again and again in the future. We need to have timely and accurate access to data. And that means bringing all of these different data points together in a way that I know on game day who is coming into the building. I can work with our group sales team to make sure that we know every single buyer that they have to go out and work with. I can work with our retention team, say, here are the people who have scanned the building. Here's our latest reports. So we can reach out to the people that we need to talk to in real time or near real time. Then there's the data security side, and that is only growing in how important it is. And I think for us as part of the Comcast family, it's something that is a huge part of what we're thinking about, whether it's from the CCPA GDPR side of what organizations have the right to collect on you, but also from making sure that our fan data is safe and we're not putting that data at risk for breach in working with our partners. So we wanted to find a technology partner that was on the cutting edge of the data security spectrum. The next part is making sure we have a data structure and model that enables us to conduct efficient analysis. And that's not just, let's pull all of this data from all these different sources and dump it into one central source and good luck, wipe your hands and go away. It's making sure it's set up to be combined, to be joined with each other, to work as enabling that unified view of the fan, unified view of our business, and allow us to spend the time not thinking about how are we pulling together all of these different bits of logic to structure our data, but more on how are we using that structured data, that logically defined and modeled data to inform insights for the rest of the organization. The next part is one I touched on the last slide around integrated analytics model. And it builds on the data structuring. And it's not just how do we set our team up to conduct these analysis, it's how do we do some of these analyses ahead of time for the team and embed them into the data flows that we have in place. How do we take a retention model and make sure we have all of the pertinent information fed to our reps on a timely basis, on a regular basis, and then provide them likelihoods to renew that are presented in a meaningful way. And that leads right into the last point here, which is interactive and advanced visualizations, making sure we can report, whether it's to our sales reps or to our executive leadership, the most important data about what is happening in our business, allowing us to actively manage, make decisions on a day-to-day basis, on a seasonal basis, on an annual basis, and as we look towards our long-term plan. So again, as I mentioned earlier, finding this partner and building this foundational data platform, it's not just about data for the sake of data, it's about data for the purpose of driving insights for optimizing business performance and maximizing resource effectiveness. Again, so we can spend all of our time thinking about what are the unique things about our organization, about our fan base, about our plans and our roadmap that we want to find answers to, that we want to find insights about, rather than having to worry about how are we pulling all this from different sources. Now, none of this means anything if you can't show results and drive results for the organization. To that point of it's not just the sake of data. I'm going to walk through two case studies quickly here. The first of which is retention modeling. And this is something we focused on heavily in the last season before the 1920 season. And we wanted to be able to take information from our fans. And we think we've got the best, most passionate fans in hockey and in sports. And we want to take advantage of that passion and have them share information with us, whether that's conversations with the sales rep that we can enter into our CRM system and pull into the warehouse, whether that's fan behaviors. Are you attending games? Are you transferring your tickets to partners? Are you selling them on the secondary market? Are we making sure you're getting the value that we hope and we expect you to get from being a season ticket holder? Are you taking advantage of our loyalty program and the benefits you get from that, whether it's the discounts or the events, and bringing that into the warehouse? Whether it's thinking about survey responses, what are you telling us about your personal experience? Are you happy? Are there things we need to improve for you? Are there things we need to improve in sections of the building? And that plays back into the $300 million investment we've made in our building over the past couple of years to make sure we were addressing and staying on top of some of the latest changes. We want to bring that all into a centralized location where we can pull it together. We can understand holistically what are our season ticket holders doing? What are they feeling? How likely are they to renew? And feed that into a retention model. And this is your complex AI ML model where you're going to get a likelihood to renew. You're going to get the feature importance. And then it's not just getting that importance, it's being able to translate that to our sales reps and say, all right, we'll bring this into our CRM system as a likelihood to renew and a renewal score. And what does that mean for our reps in terms of the actions they should take? Should they work with their ticket holders to help them understand the options they have on the secondary market, to understand our exchange program, to make sure they know about our benefits, to invite them to different events, to invite them to come talk to us and let us know how their experience is going. And we were able to build this all in and watch our retention model update over the course of the season as reps were talking to fans, making sure that they understood the important things that we wanted them to and the important things that we had seen drive renewal. And by the end of the season, we were able to see our strongest renewal in 5 years. And at the core of that was the data we were able to find. And it's not just the data, it's the actions and insights we were able to drive off that data, provide to our reps, provide it to them in a timely fashion so they could take the action they needed to based on those findings and again, see the results for our organization. The second example I have here is single game sales. And I'll talk a little bit about what we started in my first season. And then as we're going into hopefully next year, which will be fingers crossed, a more normal season with a more full building on our end. But we started in my first season, we looked at our pricing models and our variable pricing and how we were tiering out games. And we said, how can we use the data we have to be smarter about that? How can we look at what we're hearing from different groups of our fans to create targeted spaces in our building? For us, we built an area called the assembly room, where it's a $25 standing room ticket that's targeting a different demographic of fans. We're looking at some of the younger fans who are looking for that experience where they can go with friends, they can sit on a couch in front of a fireplace and walk into the rage room where Gritty will go in 4 games and take a baseball bat, something representing the other team. So we want to find those different places and then market to those targeted demographics and targeted groups across the building and across games. So really taking that next step of introducing new targeted marketing segments, partially tied to the spaces in the building and partially tied to some of the fan behaviors that we've seen. And then looking with a kind of keener eye towards our return on our ad spend. When are we spending during the season? What's our result been? What's our spend across platform? And how do we look to optimize that and look at how we're targeting that spend? And now through those activities, we actually had quite a bit of success. We saw a 63% increase in single game sales year over year. Now, leading into the next season, that was a great first season result, but there's a lot more we want to do and that we'll be able to do building on this data platform that we now have in place. We'll be able to look at a more detailed customer lifetime value based on the fan golden record and say, who are the people that we think we can upsell? Who are the people that we think we can get back to more games? What can we learn about the segments that are most valuable to us? And we can go find new fans that look like those different groups. How can we not just introduce those segments, but continue to automate those segments? So we're spending more time thinking about how can we take that next step? How can we test different ideas, different concepts, different creative, to continue to personalize your experience when you're interacting with our organization? How can we continue to take that ad spend analysis we did in year 1 and continue to grow how traceable the results of that are? And that will come through the web and ticketing data that we have feeding into the warehouse. How can we actively track campaign effectiveness and do that in real time so we can optimize and continue to iterate as we get results in? And we're going to take, again, the basis is getting the data, having the data all together, having it together in a timely, accurate way, and use that to power new insights, new models, and continue to help us think about what the next sets of data sources are. And now it doesn't stop with single game ticketing. Of course, we've got a number of other business objectives that we've been working on for the past 2 years, but we also want to continue to develop in the future, whether that's personalizing fan experience and continuing to look at that trend for fans where they're looking for a personalized experience when they come to the game. It's not just about seeing the team on the ice for some of our fans. It's about having that holistic experience that feels like it's for them. Optimizing the sales funnel even further. How do we refine those lead scoring and retention models to continue to target our sales efforts and track that campaign effectiveness? how do we continue to optimize arena revenue? And that's sales efforts across F&B and retail. What food and drink is selling? How are we looking at throughput? How are we integrating mobile ordering into all of those to make sure fans aren't missing the game to stand waiting in line for food and bev? And then how do we continue to prove partner ROI and build data-driven asset packages to tailor what we're able to deliver to our partners to their goals as organizations, and help build that story, help show them what we're capable of, again, across not just the Flyers, but the 270 events and over 2.7 million people that come through our building on an annual basis. So these, again, this isn't everything we're looking to do, but these are some of our continued business objectives that we're looking to enable through our data platform, through our partnership with KAGR as we go forward. So I want to say thank you again to Jack, to the conference, and to everyone who took the time to listen to the presentation today. So thank you very much.